Christian Friends of Israel are a blessing here in the land, ministering to the needs of the people. I spoke with Sharon Sanders, and I asked her, what is Christian Friends of Israel?
Christian Friends of Israel was formed in December 1985, and we are a ministry made up of Christians from around the world who are designed to bless Israel according to Genesis 12:3. I will bless those who bless my people. And we do that through different ways.
So how was Christian Friends of Israel started?
Christian Friends of Israel began in December of 1985, and it was leaders from England and Australia and France and the United States who met together in Jerusalem and formed a board, a committee, basically, and we decided that we would call it Christian Friends of Israel, and we've all been working together over the years to develop that work. And while other nations developed work in their countries, we began to work here in Jerusalem, and that's what my husband and I have been doing over the past 22 years.
So what sort of projects do you do here at Christian Friends of Israel?
We try to reach all the people of the land that we possibly can. There are Holocaust survivors who came from World War II back to the land of Israel, and there are about 225,000 still alive. And so what we do, we have a department called Forsake Them Not, and we go into the homes of the survivors of the Holocaust, listen to their stories, help them financially where needed, and really bond with them, and we've heard a lot of wonderful stories. We also help terror victims who during the last few years have had their lives changed drastically, and we go into their homes, listen to their stories, pray with them, and comfort them. We also have the Ethiopian community, and there are many Ethiopians who are needy, and young people as well as the elderly. We have a department called Hope for the Future, helping them with those things. And we have a distribution center also. And in that distribution center, which was opened in 1991 during the Gulf War, by the way, since we opened our doors to help the Jewish people, over 250,000 have come our way for help. Wow. And they've seen genuine Christian love reaching out to them as they're coming home. Now, in that distribution center, we help them with welcome baskets, clothing, items of need to start life all over again when they come to Israel. We have a department called Doors of Hope for the very poor and needy, battered women, single women, people who really need help. And then we have a unique bridal department where our Christian sisters have sent their bridal gowns to Jerusalem. And on the wedding day of young Jewish brides who have just immigrated to Israel who cannot afford to buy or rent a gown, they get a beautiful wedding gown, and the groom, the whole family, are outfitted for basically free of charge. A small deposit, they return the gown, clean it, and they have a wonderful day, and we get invited to all those weddings. Wow. And we can bond, make relationships and friendships with the Jewish people who we want to do. We also have a wall of prayer, and the wall of prayer is 105 nations praying for the nation of Israel. All the Jewish towns, cities, and villages, Arab villages throughout the country are being covered in lots of prayer for safety and for the just redemption of the people, and that they'll come closer to God. Also, we have Last Shall Be First. That's the poorest of the poor, and that encompasses Jewish people who are without jobs and have no income at all, elderly people, pensioners, and also non-Jews who are in the land. You may not be aware of it, but we have quite a few non-Jews in the land of Israel, and I can tell you more about that. That encompasses pretty much, except for the soldiers of Israel. We have an outreach to the Israeli soldiers called David Shield. We help lonely soldiers, and we help soldiers who wounded soldiers in the hospital. We pack parcels, care packages for them at the Jewish holidays.
Now, you said before that you visit Holocaust survivors. They must have some really sad stories.
Yes, the Holocaust survivors, first of all, we must realize that the Holocaust to them did not happen just 50, 60 years ago. It happened last week. They're basically people who are behind the bars of their own memories, frozen in time. They had become a number. They were one step from the grave, but they're the last living witnesses that are alive still of the Holocaust. So we have teams, organized teams, in Forsake Them Not Holocaust Department, and all of our people, which is an international team from around the world, countries all over, are trained to minister to people who have come from traumatic backgrounds, which the survivors have. We go into their homes all over the country and hear their stories, listen to what they've been through, learn from them. And, of course, most of them are very needy, and we bond and make some deep friendships.
It must be very difficult to listen to their stories for some of the grief that they've been through.
Oh, the stories I've heard, you can't imagine. And every time we go to one survivor's home, we hear one story. We think we can't hear anything worse than we hear another story at the next home, and it's worse than the last one. I could tell you many, many stories.
Do you have any stories that you could share?
Yeah, I can tell you about Grunya. Grunya was a young girl, and in her teenage years, she was from western Ukraine. And the Gestapo took her as a young Jewess, and they took her to an abandoned schoolhouse. They closed the doors. They stomped on her feet. They kicked her in the mouth, kicked all her teeth out. They pulled her nails off. And later, when they released her, after she had been beaten severely, she was walking in the town square, and she saw three people hanging on a rope, and one of them was her mother. And she couldn't cry out because they would have killed her immediately. Well, she told us, Grunya told us, she said, you know what it was like not being able to scream or to cry out, and she kept us buried all these years. She survived 8 concentration camps. I saw where the Nazi dogs chewed up her legs, and also the Nazis tried to drown her right before they liberated Auschwitz. And so this lady was very, very sad lady, her life filled with darkness. And just to tell you what happened, we prayed. We said, how can we bless this lady? What can we do to touch her heart and help her? Well, God was good. He put a thought in her heart and told her she'd never had a birthday party. Wow. So we baked a big heart-shaped cake, and we had candles, we had gifts, we had cards, we had everything. And when she came in the door, we started singing Happy Birthday to You. And at that time, the heart broke. Everything started coming out. And from then on, Grunya became a different person because she knew love. Christian love just flowed out to her. And we're just glad, as Christians, that we were able to do something to help undo all the damage Christians did in the past years toward the Jewish people.
So it's just showing the love of Christ.
Yes, it's just living that love, and instead of just preaching and pushing at someone, we're saying, look, this is in our hearts, and we want to bless you because that's what we are told to do by the Lord.
Now, you said as well you minister to terrorist victims. What sort of practical ways do you do that?
Well, we go into their homes. Again, listen first of all to what they've been through. Try to empathize, identify with them, and to see how we can help them. But normally, most of them, their lives are changed so drastically because they can't work anymore, and they can't keep a job. And so we try to see how financially we can, or practically we can help them through Christian help that's come our way from the nations. And then, of course, we make different repeated visits back and forth just to find out how the families are doing, being concerned, and, again, bonding and friendships between Christians and Jews.
So how does a terrorist attack affect a person, particularly, like, for instance, on a bus? How does it affect them?
Well, from what they tell us, you know, like a Holocaust survivor went through maybe years of suffering. But, you know, someone who's sitting at a pizza parlor and having a pizza and a terrorist comes up the door and pulls a plug, in an instant of time, a terrorist attack victim's life has changed, unexpected. And most of these people, they can't sleep at night, they have nightmares, they certainly, many of them cannot ever work again because they've been maimed for life. And they're just happy to know that there's somebody who cares about them. They're lonely, they need to talk, they need someone to empathize with them.
So I guess in some ways people do die in terrorist attacks, but there are people who are left behind who lose a leg or an arm or things like that, and they need ministers and help as well.
We went to one young teenage girl, I'll never forget, I've got a picture of her. She took 96 ball bearings, nails, and screws into her leg. It was just a massive mess. I mean, she's changed for life. I mean, what can she do? That leg is really no good. But still, most of them have a pretty good outlook on life. They want to go on with life. You know, it takes a while, period of time. But we're just happy we can go and minister to them, give them the love of the Lord, and pray with them.
So you've met some of these people. How does it make you feel when you hear about a suicide attack here in the land?
Well, I've lived here 22 years. And I just feel it's sad. How does it make me feel? I know, living in the land of Israel, that the Jewish people want to live in peace. They just want to live and go on with life like every other nation in the world. And I think it's very cruel for anyone to want to take the lives of other people, innocent people who are just sitting around, standing by, whatever, and it affects me in such a way. I cannot get used to it. When I hear the sirens, I just wonder, where is it this time? But I pray with all my heart that God will soon bring peace.
Now, you're also going to the prisons as well. What needs do these people have?
Well, we have about several thousand non-Jews in the land who came from African countries, from Ethiopia, from Guinea, from Sierra Leone, from Darfur in the Sudan, and Congo and Libya. They're refugees who've walked across the African continent seeking asylum from Islamic militants in their land. They just want to live. That's all. They have nothing. They have nothing left, and sometimes they end up because they come in illegally. They have to first have someone hear their story and why are they here and how did they come, and some do end up in jail. So we do go visit them and try to reach out to them and extend a hand of Christian love and visit them on the moshavim and kibbutzim. And again, as I said, most of them are good people. In no way are they bad people or criminals. They just want to live in a country where they're not hated and not, don't have to run from militants against them.
And the government are free and happy for you to go in and visit them?
Oh, yes. We work hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder with Jewish municipal authorities, the hotlines, the aid for foreign workers, and different community agencies, and absolutely they encourage us to go and help them in any way they can, because really Israel doesn't have any particular government funding to help all these non-Jews, and so they're turning to us Christians to say, what can you do to help them?
So how do the government officials feel about you here in the land? Are they happy to have you here?
Well, as I said, we've been here 22 years, and a few years ago they awarded us with permanent residency, which is, I think, an honor for non-Jews to be able to live here in Israel. Also, we're members of the the Knesset Christian Allies Caucus, and that is a coalition or a forum of Christian leaders here in the land who meet with Knesset members in the Knesset, and we discuss various issues which have never been discussed before. We're holding conferences together. I think Israel is beginning to find out that her true friends are Christian evangelical friends around the world. We're also part of the Knesset Women's Council. I'm on that board. We're holding our first women's conference here in Jerusalem in May. And then we're part of the European Coalition. And all of these have to do with Israel's officials. And I think for the first time probably in history, we're really sitting down together and saying, what can we do together? And Israel has treated us very good.
Now, your organization is called Christian Friends of Israel, but do you minister to Arab population as well?
Well, as long as those Arab population people are friendly to Israel and basically peaceful, abiding citizens. But we do help Christian Arab pastors and leaders, congregations, and individuals throughout the land.
So what's it like for you personally being in the land?
Personally, what is it like for me being in the land? It's like, well, this land fits us like a glove. We go out of the land, we're like fish out of water. It's wonderful here. It's a beautiful land. The people are beautiful. What makes a country great anyway? It's not the size of the pocketbook or the size of the homes. It's the size of the hearts. And I love the hearts of the Jewish people. They're wonderful people. They've suffered a lot throughout history. But it's our job as Christians to reach out with the love of the Lord. I'd say take the love of Jesus back to the very people who brought it to us the first time. And, we do that in a lot of different ways. It's about time we show the love of the Lord, not just preach it.
So 22 years, this must be home.
It is home.
Yeah.
There's no other home like Jerusalem. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
So what's your prayer for this nation?
My prayer for this nation is that they would be able to have the peace that they so desire. And I know that, of course, the peace that we all know as Christians comes from the true Prince of Peace, Sar Shalom. We're all looking for the Messiah. Everybody's looking for the Messiah to come, and we know he's going to come back to Jerusalem. And I guess that we would be able to show his love so that the fragrance of the Messiah might be seen and felt all throughout this land, and that Jerusalem, when he comes and he rules and reigns, the Lord, and for us as Christians, that's Jesus Christ, the Messiah, Yeshua HaMashiach, when he comes, that Jerusalem would be the praise in the earth that the Bible tells us she will be.
So for Christian Friends of Israel, you have a website, and what's the website address?
Our website, our Jerusalem website, is www.cfijerusalem.org. That's www.cfijerusalem.org.
Okay, Sharon, well, thank you for sharing.